Hello and welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Anchor. I am Navin Kumar Selvaraj. Today, we are talking about the one topic every entrepreneur faces, but very few talk about openly, and that's failure. In our success obsessed culture, failure is often treated as a final catastrophic event. We see it as a sign of weakness, a reason to quit, or a shameful secret to be hidden away. But what if we are looking at it all wrong? What if failure is not the opposite of success, but an essential ingredient for it? Yes, this episode is about the alchemy of failure, turning setbacks into wisdom. And today, I want to get a little more personal and share a story from my own life that completely reshaped my understanding of what it means to fail, and more importantly, what it means to fight back. Alchemy is the ancient process of turning a base metal like lead into gold. Now, spiritually, it's about transforming our most difficult experiences, that is, our lead, into our greatest wisdom, our gold. And every entrepreneur, whether they admit it or not, is an alchemist. We are constantly taking setbacks, market shifts, and outright failures and trying to spin them into lessons, pivots, new strategies, and eventual success. But the alchemy doesn't start with the business, it starts from within. I learned this during a period where I was facing failure on multiple fronts at once. My business was struggling. I had considerable debt. Sales had dried up. And at the same time, my health was failing. I was heavier than I'd ever been. And my doctor told me I had borderline high cholesterol. It felt like my body and my business were collapsing simultaneously. The weight of it all was crushing. I felt powerless, to be honest. I couldn't control, anything that was beyond my control, like the market. And I couldn't magically create sales. There's only so much you can do. You cannot control free will, right? So, yeah, I couldn't create sales. I couldn't convince people. The external world was literally a storm that I couldn't stop. And that's the problem. I was trying to control this storm. Then I realized there was only one thing I could control, or rather, two things, which is one, my own body, and my spirit. So that's where I started. I began with an act of surrender. I simply turned to a higher power, I'm my God, and I said, I can't fix all of this alone. I will focus on what I can, and I trust you with the rest. I started working out regularly. I began meditating every single day, and I made a hard commitment to cut out sugar and alcohol completely. Now, here's the crucial part of the story. Doing all of that didn't directly reduce my debt. It didn't magically bring in a flood of new clients the next day. The external problems were still there, but it completely transformed me. I was less stressed. My body weight came under control. My cholesterol fat levels dropped. I was in the best shape mentally and physically than I had ever been for years. And while it didn't solve my business problems, it absolutely gave me what I call a fighting chance. It built a sustainable engine inside of me, giving me the energy and clarity to face those external challenges, not from a place of desperation and fear, but from a place of resilience and strength. It was the alchemy of turning a personal health crisis into the fuel for a professional fight. This experience taught me a deep, profound spiritual lesson. Sometimes the universe doesn't send us challenges to break us, but to force us to build the strength we'll need for the next stage of our journey. This connects to a concept I love, the burnt toast theory. So, the idea is that if you burn your toast in the morning, that frustrating little setback, that small failure, might have saved you from a bigger disaster, like being in a car accident. The time you spent making a new piece of toast was actually a divine delay, a blessing in disguise. It's the idea that rejection is just redirection. That setback, that particular failure, is often the universe protecting you and guiding you to a better path, or in my case, forcing you to become a better, stronger version of yourself before you can proceed. The failure wasn't the point, but the alchemy was, right? So, for anyone out there who is in the midst of a failure right now, feeling that shame, that fear, that powerlessness, how do you begin this alchemical process? Before that, gentle, soft reminder it's perfectly okay. You're not alone, right? So, how do you begin this alchemical process? First, acknowledge the pain. Don't rush to be positive. Give yourself permission to feel the frustration and the fear. It's real and it deserves to be respected and honored. Just don't stay there. Don't get into a vortex of worry, right? Second, practice the art of surrender. Acknowledge what you cannot control. Don't try to control the storm like I did. Release it. Release it to a higher power. Release it to God or whatever you want to call it, to the universe, anything. This isn't giving up. It's freeing up your energy. You have no control over that. Don't control it. Don't even try controlling it. Focus your energy on something that you can. Third, identify what you can control. Maybe it's not your sales figures this week, but it can be the food you eat, a 10-minute walk, or 5 minutes of meditation. Anything within the how do I call it, within the sphere of your influence or your attainment. Take one small intentional action in an area you can control. This act reclaims your sense of agency and power. Finally, practice gratitude, not for the failure alone, but for the fighting chance it has revealed. Be grateful for the strength you're building, the resilience you're discovering, and the wisdom that is being forged in the fire of this challenge. That is how you turn lead into gold, into the beautiful you, the gold. Yes. Thank you for joining me for this deeply personal episode. Remember, your setbacks are not your shame, they are the raw materials for your greatest strength. Please subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow entrepreneur or anybody who's going through a tough time and needs to hear that they are not alone. Next week, we'll dive into the final episode of the season, The Entrepreneur's Legacy Beyond the Balance Sheet. Until then, stay grounded, keep building with purpose, and remember, your spirituality is your greatest asset. See you next time.